Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hearing from the Bhagavad-Gita as it is, chapter 2, text 66. Right, text 66, please repeat. Nasti buddhira yuktasya. Nacha yuktasya bhavana. Nacha bhavayata shantir. Ashantasya kuta sukham. There cannot be buddhi, transcendental intelligence, ayuktasya, of one who is not connected with Krishna consciousness. With Krishna consciousness. Na, not. Cha, and. Ayuktasya, of one devoid of Krishna consciousness. Bhavana, fixed mind in happiness. Na, not. Cha, and. Abhavayata, of one who is not fixed. Shanti, peace. Ashantasya, of the unpeaceful. Kuta, where is sukham, happiness. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. One who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? Please repeat. One who is not connected, with the Supreme, in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? Purport. Unless one is in Krishna consciousness, there is no possibility of peace. So it is confirmed in the 5th chapter, 529, that when one understands that Krishna is the only enjoyer of all the good results of sacrifice and penance, that he is the proprietor of all universal manifestations, and that he is the real friend of all living entities, then only one can have real peace. Therefore, if one is not in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be a final goal for the mind. Disturbance is due to want of an ultimate goal, and when one is certain that Krishna is the enjoyer, proprietor, and friend of everyone and everything, then one can, with a steady mind, bring about peace. Therefore, one who is engaged without a relationship with Krishna is certainly always in distress and is without peace, however much he may make a show of peace and spiritual advancement in life. Krishna consciousness is a self-manifested peaceful condition which can be achieved only in relationship with Krishna. So I'll read the verse again. Bhagavad-Gita as it is. Contents of the Gita summarized, text 66. One who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? So, Are we always in distress without peace?
Yes.
It seems to be our general condition, I think, to be in some distress. So this verse is categorically stating that if you're not Krishna conscious, there's so many problems in life. Without controlling the mind and senses, you cannot be Krishna conscious. Or conversely, without Krishna consciousness, you cannot control the mind and senses. So, control of the mind and senses is essential. It is the central point of yoga. But these senses are not ours. Krishna is the supreme proprietor. Prabhupada says this is a peace formula. Krishna is the supreme proprietor. The senses are not ours, and neither are we the enjoyer. So the conditioned soul gets it wrong in every case. He thinks he owns the senses. He thinks that therefore his enjoyment, that the world exists for his pleasure. But this is of course his illusion. This is the effect of Maya. So Krishna is Rishikesha. He's the master of the senses. We are not the doers. Krishna creates. Our senses are actually Krishna's energy. We are not the proprietors of them. Krishna creates the material world, and the process of creation is described in the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. How Mahavishnu lies down in the causal ocean. The Karana ocean is in the spiritual sky. It's transcendental. Karanadakashayi lies down in that ocean in the eternal sleep of yoga, yoga nidra, and he glances over the material nature, and so many universes come out of his pores, and they float on the causal ocean for hundreds of aeons, for a very long time. And then Mahavishnu expands into Garbhodakashayi Vishnu and enters into every universe. He enters into every universe which is vacant, and from his perspiration he forms the Garbhodak ocean. He lies in the Garbhodak ocean on Anantashesh, and then he expands. Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is the super soul of each universe. Mahavishnu is the super soul of the whole creation, and then comes Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, who enters into every atom and into the heart of every living entity. And he is the super soul of every living entity. So the ingredients of the material world in the primary creation is called Sarga, in that the ingredients come from Mahavishnu. There are 16 elements in that. There's the 5 gross material elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And the subtle characteristics of the gross elements are what? Subtle characteristics of the gross elements. Yes, the sense objects. Form, taste, smell, sound, and smell. Touch. Yes, and then there's the 5 senses. Ears, ear, nose, eyes, tongue, and genitals. Skin, yes. 5 senses. That's the 5 knowledge-acquiring senses, and the mind. That's 16 ingredients. So that is called Sarga. And at the same time, in seed form, all the rest of the creation is produced. And it is Lord Brahma who undergoes the secondary creation.
he takes all those seed ingredients and develops them, creating all the planets, arranging for all the planets and the bodies of the living entities and their abodes in the various planets. So it's very scientific. So it's the material world is created, it's cause and effect. First comes, what comes first is sound. Sound comes first, and from sound comes sky or ether. So in the ether there is sound. So from the sky or ether comes air, and in the air there is touch. So that goes right up to earth, water, fire, air. Earth contains all the five. That's yes. So it works like that. So anyway, that's how the senses come into being, and they're not ours. Krishna is the controller of the senses, and it's necessary for us to control the mind, because the mind is the center of the senses. And we heard in 260 that the senses are very, how are they described there? Very strong and impetuous. Impetuous means very powerful, stubborn, that they can carry away the mind. They're so strong that they can carry away the mind if you're not very careful. Just like quite often we have a desire to purify our existence, and we know what we have to avoid in spiritual life to become pure, but sometimes we can't follow. Simply because of this reason, because the senses are so strong that they just carry us away despite our best intentions. So we heard that Krishna actually, we have to qualify for Krishna's mercy to be able to be successful in spiritual life. But it's absolutely necessary that we purify the mind and senses, that we control the mind and senses, because from the mind is generated all our desires. Now, the demons are never peaceful. Chintam aparimam cha pralayantam apashrita kamopaboga parama. That till the end of their life, they have anxieties which are immeasurable. Asha pasha badaya shataya, that they are bound up in hundreds of thousands of desires. That is the condition of the demon. And you could say to a lesser degree all conditioned souls are in that position. So they're never peaceful, full of anxieties. And the proof that we can never fulfill our desires, whatever we may desire in the material world, even if we get it, we'll never be happy. The proof of that is the history of Hiranyakashipu. Him and Hiranyaksha were born, first big demons. They were born as a result of deity misbehaved with, desired to have sex life with Kashyapa Muni at improper time, without the proper performance of the samskaras. So those two demons were born, and Hiranyakashipu, he had what you can say that no one could desire more than he desired. He desired to be deathless, that no one could kill him under any circumstances, and he desired to be the control of the universe. You can't desire any more than that. There's no more you can desire, right? So was he successful in that? Yes, he was. He was successful in that, but to do it, to get that power, he had to undergo such an austerity that no pious saints can equal. Such a huge austerity. It was some 100 years he stood on his tiptoes, looking up with his arms in the air. 100 years. So long that his flesh was eaten away by ants and insects. Only his bones were left. His whole body was covered by an anthill. It couldn't even be seen. such an amazing austerity. So at the end, what happened towards the end of his austerity, smoke began to emanate from his head, and fire. And so much fire that the upper and lower planetary systems were disturbed by it, became heated up. Upper and lower planetary systems, by that fire from his head, became disturbed. And of course the demigods went to Lord Brahma and complained. And so Brahma said, I'll deal with it. We'll see what he's doing and what he wants. So he went with Daksha and a few other saintly persons. They found him, and Lord Brahma sprinkled some water, sacred water, on him, and immediately he had a strong body, color of molten gold, could withstand thunderbolt. Such a strong body. So then he had this desire. He worshipped Lord Brahma. Yes, he said he wanted to be deathless, not killed under any circumstances, and to be controlling of everything. So he got that desire from Lord Brahma, and he occupied Indra's throne in the heavenly planets. But what was his position? Was he peaceful? No, it's described that he was sitting on Indra's throne in the heavenly planets, and his eyes were rolling in his head. He was drunk on liquor, wine, and liqueurs, drunk. And despite having, he was so powerful that all the demigods, its saintly persons, were offering him homage. Only 3 personalities did not offer him homage. That was, who was that? That was Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva. They're the only 3 that didn't have to offer him homage. Even Narada Muni was offering him homage. And he was controlling the material elements on his own, without the help of the demigods. So and all the universe, all the planets were opulent. Mother Earth produced so many grains in abundance out of fear of him, and the rivers produced so many precious stones and minerals, the same reason. So everything was flourishing, everything was wonderful. But the essential point here is that he wasn't peaceful, he wasn't happy, despite having everything that you could desire in unlimited quantity. He still wasn't happy. So to be Krishna conscious, we satisfy our senses by, we heard that to curb the senses is, Arjuna said, it's impossible to control the mind. It's more difficult to control the mind than the wind. But we achieve this by performing devotional service here. As it said here, when you perform devotional service, you become, what was it? You get transcendental intelligence. Now, material intelligence, it isn't that the demons are not intelligent. They're very intelligent. Hiranyakashipu had huge intelligence. He was highly qualified, a scientist, educator, everything, materially. But he misuses intelligence. That was the thing. So material intelligence is no good for spiritual life at all. It's useless, actually. What we want is transcendental intelligence. So we have to be Krishna conscious to achieve transcendental intelligence, nor a steady mind. Well, we discussed that. The mind has to be controlled. So instead of desiring vyavasayatmika buddhiya, we have to become a single dedai, nishkarma, Krishna bhakta nishkarma, ataeva shanta, bhukti mukti siddhi kami sakali ashanta. That Krishna bhakta is peaceful because he is nishkarma, means he has no material desires. Peaceful. Whereas bhukti mukti siddhi, bhukti, the people who desire material enjoyment, mukti, those who desire liberation, and siddhi kami, those who want material perfection, siddhis, they are sakaliya shanta, means they are not peaceful because they have this material desires for sense gratification. So if we're not peaceful in spiritual life, we can examine our desires to see how we're following, what we actually desire. Before we were devotees, we all had desires. Can anybody remember what their desires were? Would anybody like to confess what desires they had before they were devotees? Please? Anybody? Think back, yes.
The desire was to become rich man.
Rich, yes. I had that desire, certainly when I was in my teens.
Have nice bungalow, cars.
Bungalow, that was your... I mean, I felt sure when I was in my early teens that by 22, 23, I would be very rich. Of course, it didn't last long, that illusion. What other desires did we have? I mean, some people, you ask them what desires and they want to dance with Danny Kaye in the rain or something, or meet some celebrity from Hollywood. You know, I mean, that's the extent of their ambitions. What other desires do we have? Yes. You wanted to be a sportsman? I wanted to be a dancer, actually. I always imagined myself dancing. No, not ballet, modern dancing. I always imagined I would like to dance. You wanted what kind of sports? Cricket. What else? Come on, let's have some other. You didn't have any desires. Some people don't have. They just go through life from willy-nilly, from moment. But a monster, yeah. How old were you then? Teenager? 6. Right. So, the moment we only desire Krishna, then we see Krishna. Prabhupada made so many times he explained that Krishna consciousness, it can either take a second or it can take lifetimes. It's up to us to purify our desires. As soon as we desire nothing else but to see Krishna, we will see him, no doubt about it. So we have to go forward in good faith. There's no doubt. Shraddha Shabde, Vishvasa Kahe. We have to have that faith that if I perform devotional service, I will get the result. I will become peaceful. And as this verse says, unless you're peaceful, how can you be happy? Without peaceful situation, not possible to be happy. Yes, you have a question?
If I desire to have, I want to chant this Mangala Arati in the morning actually, in a nice way. I didn't get the chance actually, then what will happen?
If you chant Mangalarti?
I mean to say, if I don't get chance for chanting the Mangala Arati, if I don't get actually, then what will happen?
Well, nothing would happen. If you're not asked to do it, I mean that's.
Momentarily, I shall not feel good. Momentarily, I shall not feel good. If I get answering anything, it feels distress.
Yes. Well. Yeah. I mean the thing is, Jiveras Rupa Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. We're servants. We're not masters. We can't demand anything really. I mean, we're servants. We have to do what is prescribed by the spiritual master or authorities. There is no loss. There is no loss. I mean, I would like to. I would very much like that I was asked or pressed to chant Mangalarti and Tulsi Puja. I would like that very much, but I'm certainly not going to volunteer. Oh, he does? You do? Ah. Oh dear. No, if you're making this selection, someone should tell you occasionally, well, you should lead. You should lead occasionally. But there are certain things we have to take care of, obviously. If we want to be well placed, we have to obviously chant 16 rounds a day. Obviously, 16 good rounds a day. You can't neglect chanting Hare Krishna, that's for sure, and follow the regulative principles. And according to your guru, do your prescribed duties. And there's one other thing we must not neglect, and what will that be? If we really want to be, do it in a short time and not in millions of years.
Reading Prabhupada's books.
Yes, reading Prabhupada's books, that's sure, hearing and Shravanam Kirtanam. Right, that's important, very important. The Bhagavad-Gita, hearing Shravanam Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Bhagavad-Gita, very important. Few of us are here now, thousands outside. They're missing the point, really missing the point. So many I see staying in the MVT, they're nice people, peaceful. They want to be peaceful, they want to enjoy the material world and yoga exercise and things like that. But the real purpose, obviously, to come to the Holy Dham is to become purified and to associate with saintly persons and get knowledge. So there's one other thing we have to be very careful of if we want to get out of the doldrums, if we want to stay awake during class, if we want to see things as they are. What? Huh? Come on, we must know this. If we don't know, that's why we're not making advancement. Yes, who said that? Yes, that's it. You've got to be careful not to commit offences. Sometimes I used to think, in devotional service, you just engage in Krishna service and everything will be taken care of. But I've read quotes from Srila Prabhupada on many occasions. He said, you've got to take care. You've got, without being careful about avoiding offences. One quote he said, actually, your practice of devotional service is useless. If you're disobeying spiritual master, for instance, or blaspheming devotees, whatever offence you're committing, if you can do that, avoid the offences, chant Hare Krishna, and be fully engaged, we should have that good faith, Shraddha Shabde, that we will achieve success quickly. We should be hopeful for that. Not be stuck on the material platform, because it's very risky, as I mentioned in my last class, that if you don't transcend the modes of material nature, eventually you'll become deluded. In the Vedic culture, the Brahmanas, if they don't become devotees, they all fall down, eventually, because the modes of material nature are always competing. Unless you have that pure goodness, you're always going to be affected by some passion or some ignorance. So, yes, it may be difficult to have that faith, because you see around you devotees who by their own confession have been practicing for so many years, but have not really experienced much difference, much change in their consciousness. So we have to root out to be careful about the offences and to understand the pitfalls. Clearly understand the pitfalls of spiritual life. Sometimes devotees say, oh, why are you always speaking about these negative things? But you have to know who the enemy is. You have to know who the enemy is. Like when Arjuna was faced with the battle, the opposing army, he wanted to know. He wanted to know who was in the opposing army. He wanted to know who the enemy was. We have to know who the enemy is. So, does anybody have any questions, please? Yes, bro.
In this spiritual life, I would like to go back to body.
Yes?
But still, I am fond of so many materialist things.
Yes, that's a problem.
How is that possible? I can go back to
It won't be possible. Because your mind is restless. That's the problem. The mind is restless in the case of, and because of the restless mind, we suffer from attachment and aversion to sense objects. That's the problem. Attachment and aversion. We've got to be above both, as we heard in a recent verse. If you want to obtain the mercy of the Lord, you've got to rise above attachment and aversion. So to be fully engaged is the best way. Idle mind is the devil's workshop. You've got to be fully engaged. Have something to do. It's very good, easy if you have good association. Devotees are also who are fully engaged, and they're not going to speak nonsense to you. They're not going to mislead you. They're going to. You can enjoy their association. But recognize your material desires and just don't entertain them. Krishna says in the Gita, the desires will come. Like Yamunacharya said, since I am engaged in devotional service, whenever thoughts of sex life come into my mind, I turn my face and I spit at the thought. So it's not that material desires are not going to come. I heard recently that if you have a material desire, you're fallen. That's not necessary. The material desires are coming all the time. The fact is that Krishna says if you don't, they're coming like rivers into the ocean, but if you don't try to satisfy them, you can be peaceful. But if you try to satisfy them, you won't be peaceful.
Here in Bhagavad-Gita 1866, it says, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mami Pachya. So, what do you understand that how we should surrender to Krishna? That having these desires and we surrender, or just how we can surrender to Him?
Body, mind and words. Surrender everything. Faith, put your faith in Krishna. Surrender all your possessions. That's what I did. We're not the proprietor. You want to be peaceful, then you realize you don't own anything.
And you said that just the empty mind is a devil workshop.
Yes.
So, sometimes I mention these things to the management and ask them that please give me some full engagement, otherwise I feel that my mind is
Yes.
like a devil workshop.
Yes.
Okay, we will give you something, but up till now nothing. So I feel sometimes neglected.
I sympathize with you 100%. I'm in the same position. Therefore, I conclude that I'm not purified enough to stay in Vrindavan. That is my conclusion. Otherwise, I would get a full-time engagement. But the service I like to do is ground maintenance, and that's all done very expertly by Bijbasis here. So I don't get much opportunity to do that here.
I'm willing to do any type of service, not that I want particular type of service.
Yes. Well, it's Krishna's mercy, isn't it? So, in that respect, we have to be, I guess you can say we have to come up to a higher standard, then Krishna will engage us. I mean, that's why we chant Hare Krishna, isn't it? To be engaged in his service. Please engage me in your service. So if we can chant with more, see if you're maintaining material desires, Krishna says you can't approach me with resolute determination. You don't have that vyavasayatmaka buddhi. Your intelligence is many-branched. But we can be honest with ourselves. It's very good that you're being honest. Very good, because it's no good being a pretender or a show bottle in spiritual life. It's better to be honest, because then at least you know what you need to do. Any other question, please? Yes.
You mentioned about pitfalls.
Yes.
Apart from committing offences, are there other pitfalls?
Well, yes, there are many. I mean, I can discuss with you later if you like. I've got so many quotes. I've got pages of quotes from Prabhupada, different things. Like one I mentioned is about, if we don't transcend the modes of material nature, that we'll become deluded eventually and think that we're divinely inspired, but we'll be in the modes. That's a big pitfall. For devotees who for many years have not transcended the modes, but they think they're advanced. That's a big pitfall. And Also thinking that you're uttamadikari, artificially pretending to be equal to everybody. The best association with them is neglect. Prabhupada said that. I mean, I've been chastised for saying that, but actually, because devotees say, oh, I love all devotees, but we have to discriminate. We have to come to the platform madhyama where we can discriminate, where everybody is situated, who's above me, who's below me, who's equal to me. So, I'm happy to discuss that on outside. I'll consult my notes and mention them all to you. There are so many. Prabhupada gave us everything we need to know. Cover all bases. Yes, Mother?
I have one question.
Yes.
I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm doing food stuff, snakes.
Snakes.
Snakes, and also I'm a tailor, deities tailor.
Tailor.
Stitching dresses for deities.
Yes.
And sometimes devotees, they come to me at the last moment and they ask me to stitch the dresses, which I couldn't get the time to do for them. Is it an offense if I say, oh, they're giving me a short time to stitch the dress, it's not enough time for me to make it? So is it an offense?
Well, what else are you doing?
And I'm making these snacks, puffs, and then samosas and all those, and then the devotees would ask me to make, and I make.
Oh, you're cooking for the temple.
I'm doing it in my house, and they will take it to the temple, and they will offer. And
They will offer them.
They will
So
offer.
that's your devotional service.
Yes, and sometimes they will ask me to offer, but when they're asking me to offer, I'll offer the whole thing to Krishna, and
Right.
then I'll pack it and I'll send it.
Right. Well, if whatever we're asked to do, we should say yes immediately, but we can't always fulfill the obligations. Sometimes we might be asked to do too much.
Now recently when I'm from Malaysia, another 2 days more for me to leave Malaysia. That time the Mataji is calling me to stitch Gordita's dress for her.
Uh-huh.
At first I said, Mataji, I've already packed my machine, everything, I'm prepared to leave.
Yes.
But the second thought I said, oh, maybe I'm making a mistake. By neglecting that, and then I called her again. And
Who is your Guru Maharaj?
Devakata Swami Guru Maharaj.
Ah.
But I did for her, I did 2 sets for her, then only I left. No, I felt bad, so but I'm just asking whether it's offense. Giving
Well,
not enough time for me to get it ready.
I don't think it's necessarily offense, but we do what we can do, for sure.
Because date is just more, I need a lot of time to design it and all that.
Of course, if we begrudgingly do a service, that's not a good consciousness. You have to perform devotional service favourably. We should be enthusiastic. That's very important.
But I always try my best never to use the word no. I will
Yes,
do for them.
that's good. Because the Panchagoda was saying recently that so many devotees have an excuse they can't do this and that. But
I don't use that word. I even train my children, my grandchildren.
there's Parkinson's law. That might be applicable. That whatever service you're given, you'll take whatever time is allotted to do it.
Even midnight I'll be
Some people can do something in 5 minutes. Another person will take 5 hours to do the same thing.
Even in midnight I'll be doing the samosas and everything.
Oh.
They asking me to do. I don't mind my sleep, I will do it for them.
Well, can't get better than that.
No, I love cooking.
Yeah. Cooking for Krishna, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Krishna and his devotees.
We have time for another question. A couple of questions, if there are any, please. Yes.
Yeah, sorry about this monster question, but I mean, just being without acting upon anything, but just trying to be productive and pleasing Krishna is.
You're the devil's advocate, aren't you?
Okay, so.
Yeah, right.
But Americans are so trained to not follow authority, and we think it's good, and so much so that the system, the Krishna consciousness seems to be quite a bit different from that. But at the same time, there's this thing in the back of my mind Kshatriya, he conquered a real Kshatriya, he conquers a kingdom because he feels like he can do it better. And things of this nature are out there.
Yes, well, we have to be engaged according to our nature. That's the thing. That's important. That's the job of the guru to do that.
And how is it that we can just have full faith in this? Maybe give me some tips. Or should we actually discuss with the guru about our, thoughts about this as well? I definitely should be a study of our guru.
Well, there's no point in approaching a guru if you're not going to be submissive. First of all, you have to develop faith.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's there for sure.
Yeah.
But then all the details and stuff.
Uh-huh.
For example, we're given a position where we're serving somebody else perhaps, and we have no time to ever talk with our guru and things of this nature out there.
Well,
For example,
you have to develop relationship with your guru. You have to.
How can you do that when he has 30,000 disciples? I really, no, seriously.
No, that is difficult.
It's not even possible.
My Guru Maharaj said years ago that he couldn't individually manage the lives of his disciples. So you have to. But my Guru Maharaj has written so many books. He's given so many instructions, generally for the benefit of his disciples. So you have to. But if you do have any questions, I'm sure your Guru Maharaj, you can write to him, right?
People have written him that he doesn't write back. He's
Oh, really?
busy, I mean, realistically speaking. But I could go to another guru, I guess. That is less
Well, yeah, you can accept other devotees as Shiksha Guru.
Yeah.
Yes, you can do that.
It seems to be, and this, to put this on, the reason I bring this up is recently a sannyasi encouraged a bunch of us to not serve, which I thought was really bizarre. And that.
But what was he encouraging you to do as an alternative?
To do our own thing, because the
I don't know.
authorities are after their own petition. He was saying that's sannyasi. So I was thinking, man, okay, what's Krishna's? What am I supposed to do now?
But doing your own thing is why we're born and die in the material world.
Well, we do see certain personalities that have done their own thing and were quite successful in spreading Krishna consciousness.
Who?
Let's say Chara Prabhu in Utah.
Yeah, but they're following Prabhupada's instructions. They're not.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, but they left their immediate authorities.
Yes, I feel my mind, I cannot say that.
Yes.
Can you clear up, like, you're talking about, you're following Prabhupada's instruction, but doing it in your own way. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about, you're not trying to please your guru, but
No, you don't follow your guru in your own way. You follow it what he says to his word. I mean, if the guru asks for a glass of milk, you don't give him a glass of water, or vice versa. It's that simple.
how about with a guru that just used to...
You can't. Right.
I don't want to be a troublemaker or anything, honestly, because I've always...
Well, I think you're making a mountain out of a molehill.
Okay, that would be good.
Yeah.
That's the information I need to hear, because I in the past, all these guys know that I've just pushed to serve your guru, do what he says.
Yeah.
But just this recent statements kind of throw me a little bit, so maybe you could help show some... I appreciate that comment to help everyone.
Well, we were discussing with that Mataji that you should try and please your guru. If you have faith in him, that will be easy because you'll be empowered to do whatever he asks. If you have faith in him, and also what is that verse? So you have faith in Krishna and the Guru, then all the purports of the Vedas are automatically realized, which is saying something from that, just that simple faith.
Isn't it that our relationship with the Guru is not dependent on physical proximity?
No.
The Guru is not just an
No.
physical person, it's actually a spirit.
Yeah.
Krishna is represented.
There's two ways to associate Vapu and Vani. Of the two, Vani is the most important. The instruction is more important.
So you can satisfy your Guru without necessarily...
Yes, that's true. You can. If you know what his instruction is, you can do that, yes, of Of course.
Because there's so many Dharma disciples who actually didn't even get Prabhupada's
Yeah, right.
association, but they are very fixed on his.
Yeah, and it's not that they're not pleasing him.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Still pleasing him, even though he's not fundamental.
That relationship has been made in initiation.
It's not a mundane relationship.
No. If you think it is, then you're fallen. What is it, or living dead or something? If you think that, or the deity is stone or wood. What is that verse? What is it? If you think that, I can't remember exactly. All right. Thank you, Jai. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.